Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here with the full deck challenge. This is a challenge hosted by Shinuki Art. It's the first time I'm ever doing it. I'm also doing it at about week, where are we at? 24. That's where I've started to join the challenge. 24 weeks in to this 52-week challenge. But again, as I mentioned in my 20 video, I was informed that I should do this. So here I am doing it. I'm doing the thing. Expect quite a few of these videos as I play catch up, because like I said, we're on week 24 and I'm doing week 1 right now. So the full deck challenge is hashtag FDC4. It's hosted by Shanna over at Shinuki Art, and it's a year-long ATC challenge, basically a playing card deck challenge where you make cards all year. And so I'm making a bunch of cards, and I got the prompt list, and from the prompt list, it says to choose at least one. I chose green, squares, and numbers, and inadvertently, butterfly was also an option, and I do eventually end up using a butterfly, so I chose 4 prompts from this week, and I'm excited to see how this comes out, because it's been a couple days since I made it, and I remember it being very fussy, and I'm looking at the very fussy part right along with you guys right now. But I thought this would be a fun one to give a try to, because I like making ATCs, and I've been making them. You guys saw I made it into Storycraft, and it's right there, like with the Twinties, with the small art practice that I've sort of been working on, and it's something that I'm familiar with, and then it gives me a little chance to play. It's a slightly bigger surface, and I like having the challenge options and being able to sort of pick which prompts I want to use to make my cards. So I think it's going to be fun, and I think I'll be able to catch up pretty quickly. I don't think I'll be able to catch up before week 24 is over. I think we're going to probably be caught up somewhere in the 30 to 35 range, but, you know, we'll get a couple of these videos knocked out, and I'll share with you guys what I make. So let me know what you think about that. If you're participating in this, or if you think it's a good idea for me to attempt to catch up for a 52-week challenge, let me know. It should be fairly easy for me, I believe. I say in the most doubtful tone of voice I could possibly manage. But yeah, what am I doing? So I chose numbers, so I stamped in some numbers into the background. I'm using a craft colored card here. What I really did was go into that box of scraps that I was using during Moz and the Scratic, all those plain card scraps, is I went in and I grabbed every large enough piece and just chopped them all down until I had buku Twinchies and ATCs. So anything that could be an ATC or a Twinchie, I pulled out of that box. So all I'm left with is little tiny pieces or stuff that's already been all folded up in that box, which was actually very satisfying to cut down. Was just to I spent like an hour just chopping stuff, which was very meditative. And now I have some stacks of cards and stuff that I can use and play with. Definitely more than I'm going to need for this particular challenge. I don't know how many Twinchies I'm going to make going forward, so I have an adequate amount to last me probably for the rest of the year, unless I get like really crazy and start making big batches of them. But I definitely have more than 52 ATCs here, but it was like a really great way to get rid of all those plain scraps. And just very satisfying to look at. So yes, so I have a craft colored background here. I've stamped on it, and then I took some green paper, some green scrapbook paper, which was a scrap left over from the Haunt Your Crafts challenge, and I have cut some squares out, and then I cut more squares out of those squares. I cut squares out of my squares, so I can make these cool like interlocked squares, because I thought that would be a fun sort of background. That's like very geometric. Something like a little bit different than what I would normally do. But also a little bit up my alley anyways. Because I do like playing with like straight lines and things like that. And I really like the composition of this one. So I grabbed a paper doll, This one, I believe, is from the pack that Lori sent me, so I really do need to get back into the paper doll brawl, because I have not. And I have finally cleared my schedule enough to not have to think about anything else. But then I decided that this needed more numbers, so I got some rub-ons out. These are the Tim Holtz ones. I don't know what they're called, but they're Tim Holtz. And I've had them forever. So that's another like benefit to this, is I'm gonna get to use up some old craft supplies, because I have a drawer behind me of all these things that I organized all very nicely when I first started crafting, and then just immediately stopped opening it. The drawer became irrelevant as time went on. So I'm going to dig through there for these challenges in particular and see what I can get out of there so that I can repurpose the drawer for something else. And then I will get to clear that out and use up some more stuff and make some cool art in the process. I think it's going to be fun. So I got to use these rub-ons to add some more numbers. I really don't know how much of an impact all of this extra numberage has on the final piece, but it works for me. So at least, you know, it's in there and I know it's there. And then we're going to get this girl here, and I managed to find a little tiny pocket to slip her hand into, so it looks like she's like sort of leaning up against the squares in the background, which I think is cool. And then I don't know, I felt like this needed a little something whimsical, so I added the little butterfly behind her. And then I just went and grabbed some of these like Tim Holtz word strips to add a little sentiment to the card, because again, you guys know I don't feel like it's finished without words. I don't remember what it says. Oh, it says use your wings. Of course. So on the nose, why wouldn't I? And then here is a lesson in why you should clean your paintbrushes, because you see how I dipped it into white and then I ended up with pink? It's because there was like some red stuff hidden in my brush. So I ended up with a bunch of pink splatters, which at first I was like really bummed about, but then by the end of it I was like, you know what, I actually kind of like this. I actually like the pink against this. I like it with the green. It's a good contrast. So yeah, that's everything. That's the end of my first one, and wish me luck catching up on the rest of them. Words are really hard, and I will catch you guys all next time. Until then, happy crafting. I appreciate your faces, and goodbye.